When one legislator has 377,000 shillings on his electronic toll collection gadget, you still don't think that there's an expenditure problem?
There's an expenditure problem. But so the hypocrisy in this country is nauseating. The hypocrisy in Parliament is nauseating. You look at the Senate yesterday, I mean, it's a bunch of this team of legislators who we've had. There's nothing new today. He didn't have to wait for Gen Zs to come out for him to declare that he has 377,000 in his card.
But the fact that he has it is a problem. This is what Kenyans are complaining about, that we have an expenditure problem, not a revenue problem. So it's not that our coffers were empty, it's how we spend the money that we have.
Did it have to take the Gen Zs for Honorable Sifuna to come out and say, I have 377,000 shillings on my card? Did it have to take Gen Zs?
For how long has he had it?
And for how long has he used it? Can he refund the one that is used already because he's declared?
Why does he have it in the first place?
Yes,
that is the question everybody's asking.
That tells you
because this goes through right before your eyes, and all of you knew this.
That tells you the hypocrisy. No, that's Parliamentary Service Commission. When they come, Parliamentary Service Commission is a whole commission. And I like the conversation that Kenyans are having now that, you know, let's get rid of these commissions and all these other bodies that are necessarily taking a lot of money from the exchequer. But let me say this. Yesterday, what I watched in the Senate is hypocrisy that stinks to the high heavens. People who are just hypocrites, people who are not honest, people who are actually declaring that, you know, we've been receiving so much money. Even you, as a media house, are fighting politicians who are competing now to decline salary increment because of the moment. In fact, let me tell you, as a country, I wish SRC can use this opportunity to reduce even further the salaries of these politicians. Bring it down to even 200,000 shillings at this point, because everyone now is declining an increment. But it is a hypocrisy. I live with these people. We're in Parliament with them. I know their hearts. Even this Kibagend, it's only that it's his birthday today. I don't want to hammer him. These people want money so badly. And it brings me to a conversation. Why do politicians want so much money? It is because then we must look back of demonetizing our campaigns. We must look at Harambes. We have all these Harambes, and we must have a conversation as a country and say, do we get rid of Harambes? So that, you know, politicians now don't have to go and look for money. I saw my colleague Honorable Salasha's pay slip yesterday. He only earns 24, I mean, he was candid enough to have it on his account. Yeah, published. So he earns 26,000 shillings. I am telling you, members of Parliament are living a lie. They are living a fake life. They are living an illusion. People take loans to go and give out in Harambes so that they can be re-elected, so that they can continue to live this life that is not real.
Speaking of Harambes, there's a picture of you with the money.
Yes,
I can bring that up right now. Where do you get all this money? That's you right there.
Yes, that's me.
That's 3 million.
Brilliant, yeah. Let me say this.
Where did you get all this money?
This was Senator Aaron Cheriot tournament. This is, actually it was for the young people of Kericho. My only mistake was to hand over the prize to the people who had won the tournament, who are from my constituency.
So this is not your money?
In fact, it's not my money. It is, you can even see the T-shirt is an Honorable Aaron Cheriot, in fact, it's right there. Honorable Aaron Cheriot's tournament in Kericho. So this was a tournament that he does every year.
So who gave you all that?
This is a collection. He collects from friends, you know, from corporate institutions to support the young people, and he has this football tournament that runs through. In fact, members of Parliament, so many.
But why in cash?
It's not my tournament. I was just given to hand over. In fact, Honorable King was going to do it, but because he had flown in there and the weather was getting bad, he had to leave, and I was given the money to hand over. Ordinarily,
So Kenyans say this is the problem they have with the members of Parliament, because we say we need to tighten our belts, but you guys seem to be
I'm very disappointed with the people who were in this tournament, because they should have actually come out to defend, Honorable Cheriot and myself from that mob lynching. But let me say this.
It's good that you clarify
so that we clarify this. This was a tournament that runs every year in Kericho County. It is being sponsored by Aaron Cheriot and many of his friends. So normally he gives prizes to number 1 to number 10. This was the winning team that had won, and they were to receive a prize of 3 million.
And this is not just about you, Koech, because we've also seen several of them. You've mentioned this is a tournament. We've seen several members of Parliament. I also see cabinet secretaries week in, week out. Go to Harambes, give 3 million, 20 million, 10 million.
Do you know?
And they count it.
It is true.
And they even post it on their own social media.
It is true, but do you know for the lengths we go to actually get 1 million for Harambe? Today, even behind the tent here, I will go and Honorable Kibagend will tell me, by the way, I have a 7th day Harambe that I'm going to have this Saturday. Do you have friends that you can give me. We collect in Parliament. Sometimes we even collect up to 2 million from friends. Then you can also visit them. It's like a chama. And we do it all over. And that is why the conversation should be then, should we continue? I'm a product of Harambee. I mean, I come from an extremely humble background. I went to school because people contributed to my study, and there were Harambees all over. So if we have a conversation then as a country and say, let's stop the Harambees, I'll be very glad. By the way, let me tell you, I even hardly do Harambees myself, except for very extreme cases, either for people who have died or for diseases. And I always go for very chronic diseases in my constituents, and my constituents know that. So if you want to have a conversation and say, okay, let's stop it, we'll be very fine. People and our population has pushed politicians to the edge. So let us also say, reduce the salaries of politicians and let us stop the Harambees.
Okay. Yes, so you're willing to take a pay cut.
And even corruption. Do you know why corruption is perpetuated, even in the civil service? Honestly, look even, for instance, in the police force, where Bwana has worked. You give a police officer to guard a bank that has millions of shillings, and you pay him 20,000 shillings. You want him to guard the whole night a bank that has millions and millions of shillings, yet you're going to pay him 20,000 shillings. Of course, one way or the other, they get tempted, because we all need needs. We all have desires of our hearts. We all want a better life. Yeah. So what is a country we should be looking at then is that a conversation we want to have? Okay. And is it then time that we stop Harambee? So as I finish, let me tell you. So if we must live within and reduce our expenditure, which I agree, I can even tell you, since I've been, this is my second term in Parliament, you can count the times that I've traveled out of the country in being sponsored by Parliament. So I don't take it. Cut down expenditure. Okay. But sometimes, again, you look at it and say, then, how do you sustain the hospitality industry in Kenya? Because, you know, when members of Parliament, for instance, go to Serena, you are somehow creating more employment by sustaining our hospitality industry. So no, I'm just saying, we have to figure out, you know, when you reduce the expenditure, because government is the biggest spender. If you reduce expenditure, government's expenditure, then inadvertently, then you're reducing the spending locally. So it becomes, again, a problem. Okay. But I will say this, and I want to speak to my colleagues as members of Parliament, senators. I know the hype of the moment has caught you, and everyone wants to speak, to be seen, to be on the right side, but all of you are hypocrites. Let us be very honest. We have lived a life of way too long. No one, in fact, by the way, I don't even know why we are allowing politicians to speak to this issue. It didn't start with them. Let it not end with them. This is a Gen Z issue. Okay. Even all these other, I don't know, Kalonzos of this world, and these other ones who are not Gen Zs, shut up. No man, not a single time in Parliament, and it is there in the Hansard, did Kalonzo vote against the party. He voted all through with the party. So all these ones who are speaking there are just hypocrites. Okay. Another one is mobilizing at the comfort of his bedroom in Canada. And he's telling people, Viva, Viva. What is that Viva? Let us be very honest. Gen Zs did their thing last week on Tuesday. They finished it. What you have now are criminals and gangs that want to take over the government.
Sheikh, how do you deal with the hypocrisy? And I saw you shaking your head.
These are good times. Yes. These are very good times of confessions. Every politician is coming out to confess. First of all, as I said earlier,